How would you feel if you were dead tired? It is the middle of the night, literally the middle of the night. You're riding shotgun with Warren G driving.
Built an empire of sound as the bridges were falling down. In the midst of endless time, we have built along this line.
Welcome back. I got another Rameriz road story for you guys. Let's see, this goes back to, I want to say 2012, I think it was. Now, during these times, I used to go play the Gathering of the Juggalos each year, or either perform. I think this year, I wasn't performing that year. I was just hanging out, and my buddy Adam, who ended up being Tech-Nine's tour manager, was a really good friend of mine. Helped me out a lot in the music industry back in those days. And he comes to me. Let's see, well, let me start with, I was on the way up there. This year I decided to go alone. Nobody else from Covington was going with me at this time. I took a bus up to Nashville, hung out in Nashville that day. It was a couple days before the gathering. And had him pick me up in Louisville, as a matter of fact. I hung out in Nashville, hopped the bus over to Louisville. We got in the car in Louisville and drove out to the gathering for this year. Now, Adam wanted me to work with him because I'm up there, hanging out. Might as well make a few dollars while we're there, right? So, one thing about these gatherings, there are tons of famous people there. Now, this night, I'm going to tell you, it felt like I had slipped into an alternate dimension somehow. Like, I found myself in a situation that I never, ever fathomed ever being in. I never thought I would find myself in this situation. Okay, so there's a lot of people, a lot of famous people frequent these gatherings. This year, I happened to drive the bus. I was transporting famous people from the hotel where they were at or from the airport back to the gathering, bring them in so they can perform. A bunch of wrestlers that evening, throughout the whole weekend, as a matter of fact. There were wrestlers and there were rappers. Probably a few other rock and roll artists would show up from time to time. But this particular situation happened on day 3 or 4 of being up there. I want to say day 3. So we're running the shuttle buses, these big 16-passenger vans that we would hop in, go pick up artists or wrestlers, take them back and forth, from the gathering to and fro, whatever they needed to do. Got lots of stories from this one weekend that I can tell you guys about, but this one particular, I felt like I was in a whole nother world. So I'm doing this all throughout the weekend. We get to day 3. And it's really late at night. I think Master P had performed that night. Whatever. I go and take Ron Jeremy. Yes, Ron Jeremy. Hung out with Ron Jeremy this weekend. I go and take him to the hotel. Actually, to the rooms he was staying in, and then off to the airport. And I'll get into that story on a different episode because that is a whole nother story all in itself. Ron Jeremy was an experience. Not like you guys are thinking, I hope. But it was an experience. Now, I get back from taking Ron Jeremy. And the manager of the whole event, the guy who was coordinating everything, sends me a text. Hey, I've got somebody. I need you to run right now. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I thought we were done for the night. At this point, I get back late. 2 o'clock in the morning. He's like, bruh, Warren G. The Warren G. just got off stage. I need you to take him. He's headed to Carbondale, Illinois, where his plane's leaving from. They wanted to get back there to the hotel or wherever they were staying so they could catch the flight. So I'm like, I'm super tired. I'm really tired. I don't know that I can do this. I'm out transporting these people. I had an experience with Biz Marquis. I don't know if it the same night or the night before from transporting him. It was the same night, as a matter of fact, I believe. So, and I'm getting tired as I'm driving these people because I've made trip after trip after trip. I didn't know what I was getting into when I made it up there to the festival that weekend. I just wanted to make a few dollars. It paid good. It was good money. So I'm willing to do it. Now, during the trip with Biz Marquis, I was getting really tired, and I go and drop him off in Paducah, Kentucky. And on the way back, I'm just barely keeping my eyes open. Like, oh God, what have I gotten myself into? There's no way I'm going to be out driving a 16 passenger van in the middle of the night, driving through these cornfields. We're in the middle of nowhere. This event was taking place at a place called Cave in Rock, Illinois. You've probably never heard of Cave in Rock because it has a population of maybe 5 people. I don't know how many people live there, but it's almost nobody. But there's a big park, festival, venue there out in the middle of nowhere, just off the Ohio River. You cross over the Ohio, and there is the park, not far down the street there. That's where they have it. It's out in the middle of the woods, out in the middle of nowhere. So, to get back to the story, I get back that night, and he's like, Warren G needs to go right now. He can't hang out any longer. Adam's gone, probably. I think Adam was running Master P at the time. And so I walk up to George, and I'm like, man, it's going to be tough. It's maybe 2:30 in the morning by this point. I'm really tired. Warren G is standing there in the conversation. He looks at me like, bro, I got you. You just ride with me. You can sleep the whole time. I'll drive. Warren G wants to drive. Guys, this is how I found myself riding shotgun with Warren G at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, going through these little towns, nobody towns, 1 stoplight towns, not even stoplight, stop sign towns, nothing but a post office and a sheriff's office that has 1-2 sheriffs, works the whole county. We're driving through these little places, speed limits of 25 miles an hour. Warren G's driving. I'm riding shotgun. Now imagine that. How would you feel if you were dead tired? It is the middle of the night, literally the middle of the night. You're riding shotgun with Warren G driving. This guy don't know me from Adam. He don't know me from Adam's house cat. He's like, bro, I got you. So we're trucking it. 25 mile an hour zones. We're doing 75, 80, 90. Whatever Warren G wants to do, who am I to tell him no? I can't sleep. He's like, you can sleep the whole time, Warren G is driving. How the hell am I going to sleep? I'm riding shotgun with Warren G driving. He's amped up. Got his hype man right behind us. It was just us 3 in the van. Some white dude was his hype man, and forgive me for not knowing his name. He may be somebody famous. I don't know, guys, but I'm riding shotgun with Warren G driving through the middle of cornfields and nobody towns. 3 o'clock in the morning in Illinois. I'm from Covington, Georgia. How do I find myself in this situation? Warren G is driving and I'm riding shot. I don't know how many times I can say it for it to make sense. It still doesn't make sense to me. He's reminiscing about Nate Dogg. Now, I will say, from what I understand, Nate Dogg was a true gangster. Warren G was not what I expected him to be. Now, Warren G, he's got the video out of him beating the stew out of somebody on a golf course with a golf club. He's a gangster. He'll put the fear of God in you. Apparently. But Nate Dogg had passed it this time, of course. Warren G is one of the coolest dudes I've ever met. You know, so we're kicking it, talking. Man, I'm getting filled with these stories about the West Coast hip hop in the 90s. Regulators, mount up. I felt like a regulator. Like we out on a mission to find Mr. Warren G. Man, so crazy. It still blows my mind when I reminisce on this night. One thing I was thinking of, what are we going to do if we get pulled over doing 60, 70 over the speed limit in one of these little podunk towns? Warren G, they've probably never seen a famous person come through these towns. They see us blasting through there. They're going to pull us over, right? Man, I promise I was sober as can be. I was sober as your dog sitting on the couch right now. But I felt like I was on something. Just being in that situation and trying to cope with the situation I was in. I'm just a small town dude from outside of Atlanta. And I'm riding shotgun with Warren G driving. We made it to Carbondale. Thank God we made it to Carbondale that night. Now, we get there. He's got to stop by McDonald's, grab him and his homeboy some food. We hit the drive-thru. We pull up to the drive-thru. Chick in the drive-thru is like, hold on. Ain't you? He's sitting there like, nah, that's not me. She's like, nah. You sure? He's like, no, not me. I'm like, that's a damn good answer right there. You don't want to freak out the girl in the middle of nowhere in the McDonald's drive-thru. So he gets his food. We make it down the street to his hotel. He's going to catch his flight in a couple hours. And I'm left alone with my thoughts to drive this 16-passenger van back an hour or so. Back to the gathering. Around 4 o'clock in the morning. The whole time I'm just thinking, damn. I just rode shotgun with Warren G. Driving. Speeding through the middle of nowhere. Cornfields. Blasting through stop signs. He didn't care. It's crazy, man. It's crazy the life I've lived. Just to think about things like that happening. I know to some people, that's not a big deal. Some people deal with famous people every day. And I've dealt with a lot of them through the years of me being on the road. But that's definitely one that sticks out in my mind. I still don't know how exactly I found myself riding shotgun with Warren G. in a 16-passenger van going 60 miles an hour over the speed limit in the middle of nowhere. Think about it. In the middle of nowhere. What would you do if you were in that situation? I was a regulator for one night. I was a regulator. Anyway, guys, I got many more stories just like that. Some crazy stuff has happened. And we'll get into that on future episodes. But just remember, I am Smokey Rameriz. Larry Smokey Rameriz Cowan. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Deuces.